and good day to everyone who's here today. Just want a quick check in. Can you guys hear me and see me clearly? You can type it in the chat, like a thumbs up to let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. Uh, yes, thank you, Irene. Thank you, everyone, for giving me the thumbs up. Glad that you can hear me and see me okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Sharifah Diana, and you can call me Diana. So I'm a Naluri mental health coach and the clinical psychologist here to have this talk with you today. So thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to our webinar where we and our fireside chat called Reflect to Reset, ending the year with purpose. So it's the end of the year. It's 18 December. We're almost at the end of 2025, at the end of the year. So let's get cozy, let's get comfortable to kind of have this conversation about reflecting and resetting and how can we end the year with a sense of purpose and in a productive and positive manner. So before we get into the webinar, just to talk a little bit about some housekeeping. So if you have any sort of issues when it comes to hearing me or seeing me, or any sort of like video or audio difficulties, technical difficulties, try to reset or leave the webinar first and rejoin. So try to use the supported browser that we have, which is Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and ensure that your internet connection is all good. Otherwise, if you still have any sort of technical difficulties, just add Naluri Events. We have our team here who's in the background who is ready to support you in terms of any sort of technical difficulties. Okay, so just add Naluri Events, and then they will definitely be there to support you through the chat, through for the technical issues. Okay. Besides that, we also really, really, really want to encourage you guys to just ask your questions throughout our fireside chats, throughout our webinar. We also want to encourage you to share your thoughts, your opinions. Make it like a two-way conversation. So you can write it in the chat. Otherwise, if you feel like you want to ask any sort of a bit more sensitive or personal questions, you can add Diana or add Carfe. Carfe is our next speaker for today, which I will introduce shortly after this. Okay, and then stay till the end where you will also receive the PDF for this webinar, and also you will get the recording of this webinar through your inbox or through your email. And we also have a feedback form at the end. We would really, really appreciate if you could spare your time to share some feedback. Okay, so any sort of issues, just add Naluri Events. Leave the webinar first, but if you can't, then add Naluri Events on the chat and we will help you out. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, let me know in the chat. So let's get kind of the ball rolling to introduce ourselves and the speakers for today. So hi, I am the person on the what do you call that? On the slide here. So you can see my hair is much shorter now. Okay, I'm Diana. So I'm a clinical psychologist and another mental health coach. I've been in the practice for about 5 years now. That's about half a decade. And my main work is I provide one-to-one therapy sessions, so psychotherapy using cognitive behavior therapy, as well as emotion-focused therapy, where I focus a lot on processing emotions and challenging any sort of negative thoughts and working towards living a healthier or overall more fulfilling life beyond than just clinical illness. So, and I'm also a HRDC certified trainer where I do a lot of training when it comes to mental health and stress, any sort of topics pertaining that from I guess childhood to adulthood as well. So yes, that's a little bit about me. So I would like to also welcome and invite our second presenter, Coach Carfe. Floor to you.
Hi, thank you so much. Thanks, Diana. And it's amazing to see so many people here on the webinar. Hi, everybody. My name is Carfe. Most people know me as Coach Carfe. I've been coaching and training and speaking for the past 15 years. So I've done a lot of work revolving around team helping team to perform better at work, organizational culture, helping teams and organization to kind of change and improve their culture so that individuals at work can perform better. And I've done a lot of one-on-one coaching and also group coaching to help leaders, individuals to be able to perform better in their life by understanding themselves, by being able to kind of like, support themselves, get clarity and confidence to do what they want to do in their life, in their career, and in different areas of their life. So I've been doing this for 15 years. I was really excited to be here, really excited to share about my own way of, ending the year and kind of kickstarting 2026 with all of you here.
Yep, that's really exciting. Thank you for the introduction. So, as we can see, there's a variety of background where you'll be coming from an organizational or leadership or like self-development approach, and which I guess there's a similarity as well from my end, where I will be also coming from the mental health approach. So, as a way to kickstart, like, what are some things, or how do you find that, when you think about reflecting over the year, right? Like, how some, uh, yeah. Well, what do you think is the purpose or the intentions when it comes to um, reflecting over the year? Because some people might find that quite scary or intimidating, or they find like, what's the point of it, right? So, what do you think about that?
Well, I think actually before we get there, I think DVR, maybe we can put on the first poll because I'm really curious for all of you, almost 200 of you who are here. I'm pretty sure you're here for a reason. I hope you're not being forced to be here, right? But I want to ask, how many of you spend time reflecting before beginning the new year? Like, can you guys go to the poll and just yes or no? Like, do you spend time reflecting before the beginning of the year? Nice. Wow, interesting. We do have quite a fair bit of no, um, which I find interesting. I don't know. For me, I just thought people take time to reflect. Obviously, some people don't. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, so okay, so we're still looking at answers. So we're about 56% yes, 44% no. So almost 50-50. But again, it's not about right or wrong. And the reason why I wanted to ask this is because I want to see how many of you actually spend time reflecting and how many of you don't. For those of you who don't, I think maybe this is a time where it's important to really understand what is reflection, right? Because if you say no to reflecting before the beginning of the year, that's quite almost impossible. Now, why do I say that, right? For most of you who are here in the room, is because very often we as human, we whatever that has happened, right? We actually take the time to think back at what has happened. Now, that is reflection. And truth to be told, everybody does reflection. Now, the question is, whether do we learn from the reflection?
Interesting.
See, that's the most important thing. And one of the things that I've learned over the years of coaching a lot of people here in Malaysia, not just in Asia, but also in Europe, in the US as well, is that a lot of people tell me they reflect. Oh, Cafe, yeah, I thought about what I've done 6 months ago. I thought about, how can I do it better? I thought about how I can improve, but I never follow through. And what I realized is the challenge is that people go through life as an experience, and that's great, right? That's just how life should be. But reflected experience is where the learning is. And it is only with learning that we're able to kind of take that time to figure out what we want to do next. Right? Now, some of you say, I don't reflect. The past is the past. Focus on the future. And I want to touch upon that because I used to believe that past doesn't matter. I really do, right? Like, I used to believe that we live in the present. What has happened in the past doesn't really matter. Let's focus on the future. But my coach has really kind of shifted that for me about 8 years ago or so. Because, see, think about it. If you only focus on the present and moving to the future, that's okay. But the challenge with doing that is the future that we could think about, the future that we could imagine, the future that we could visualize is limited by what has happened to us in the past. So if we don't learn from the past, we are not able to expand the vision of what the future could be. And that's where reflected experience or reflected learning is very important for people, right? And that's what I start to realize, that the importance of really understanding the past, not dwelling in it, but understanding it, learning from it, so that we can create a better future. So that's my take on really the importance of spending time reflecting and spending time, learning from our experiences. Good, bad doesn't really matter as long as we learn from it.
Yeah. I hear you. I resonate with that, and I agree that in order for us to know what to do moving forward, part of it is like reflecting on the past, right? Because then what would you base it on to know what it is that you
Mm,
want to move forward from? But I'm curious because your reaction was also like quite interesting. You're like, oh, okay, there are some people who don't reflect, right? And as we
mm,
can see here in the comments, some people don't necessarily reflect, and they find that it's more productive to just focus on the future. So, um, like from my experience as a clinical psychologist, a lot of the times I face people who are not as accepting towards reflecting because of this very
mm,
fear of getting stuck in overthinking or spiraling into a sense of negative thoughts that might happen, right? So
mm.
yeah, have you encountered that, or what are your thoughts about why some people are not as what are not as open, or even from your own experience, you said you've only started to really change your perspective on reflecting the past 8 years
The
ago.
past.
What was your reasoning back then about not wanting to reflect on the past? What are some of the beliefs you carry about that?
Well, I think your last word just kind of hit it home, right? What are some of the beliefs that you carry? And I
Yeah.
think that is actually one important thing we will talk about after this, I believe, because I think belief is the one that's holding us back, right? Now, speaking from my own experience, what was the belief that I have? I think for me at the time, like 8 years ago, before when I was working with my coach, one of the things that stuck upon me is, dwelling in the past, spending time reflecting or thinking of the past is a waste of time.
Mm,
It's like, what's the point? It's like, it's over, it's done, right? I've experienced it, I've done it already, means I learned from it already. Let's just move on with what's
mm,
next, right? What's the next goal? What's the next vision? What's the next thing that I need to do, right? And again, when I was doing it, it doesn't feel that it is wrong. But what happened was when my coach really helped me to reflect and learn from those past experiences, I was able to have better understanding about what I really want. And most importantly is I was able to get clarity. I was able to get clear about what's important or what I really want and shift my actions or my goals according to what I really want. So and to give you to give all of you in the room here a little bit more context to it, right? So for example, 2 years ago in 2023, I set a very clear goal, right? I wanted to train for a Ironman. I wanted to train for triathlon. One of the inspiration was actually by the founder of Naluri, Azran. He started learning swimming when he was 40 or something, right? So I was like, wow, you can do that. You can start learning swimming at 40 and compete in Ironman and the triathlon. So a couple of years ago, I met him quite a while back, and I wanted to do that. So 2023, I set a goal. It was very clear. My goal is I'm gonna learn to swim. I'm gonna learn to bike, and then I'm good at running. That's okay, and I'm gonna do a triathlon. But 18 months down the road, I decided to shift. I decided to not do it anymore. Now, for most people will see it as, oh, you said that you're gonna do something, but you didn't do it. It's a failure and whatnot. But when I reflect upon it, now again, I could have just let people say, I could have just, yeah, whatever, and then move on with doing another things. But what happened for me was that I started to reflect and learn from that. I was like, I asked myself, right, what can I learn from that experience? Why did I decide to let go of training for it? Now, I hired coach. I have a running coach. I have a swimming coach. I have a triathlon coach, right? I have someone keeping me accountable. I was training for it. I was running like 50 kilometers a week kind of thing. And throughout like 6 months or something, I was disciplined to do it. But I just don't feel the excitement. So when I learned from that experience of giving up triathlon, I realized that, you know what? It's for me, I don't like cycling. So that's the problem that I have. And number two, when I reflect on that experience, I realize that training for triathlon is taking too much time.
Mm.
And for me, at this point of my life, my family is more important. I have two kids, and one of them is only uh, 12 months old, right? Only a year old. And 2 years ago, my firstborn is only 3 years old. Do I want to spend 3 hours a day training, or do I want to spend that time with my family, right?
Yeah.
And that's when I learned time is important, relationship and family is important. How can I shift my focus to relationship while at the same time being healthy at the same time? So that's the reason why then from triathlon, I shifted to full marathon. Lesser training
Mm.
time. I'm still working my body. I'm still being fit. I'm still being healthy. I'm still taking care of my health. But I shifted that goal, right? Because what's more important is my life. It's everything else in my life, my work, my career, my business, my relationship with my wife, my family, social time, etc., right? So for me, that's the power of the reflection. That really kind of changed everything for me. As we learn from the past, we are able to expand our thinking for the future about what we want.
I hear you. Okay. So it's about how your, so with reflection, you were able to see what was not working for you and then adjust accordingly to, yeah, to kind of resonating to what you actually want in life. And
Yeah,
instead of like just brushing it over on the surface and then just moving on past that, right? Like you able to, I felt like you were able to be flexible mentally to also then adjust to something that's a bit more sustainable for you that also aligns with
yeah,
your values and your priorities in life, right? At that point
yeah,
in
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I
Okay.
think just now we talk about the keyword, right? Is clarity, right?
Mm-mm.
And for me, it's we need to be very clear about the vision of our life. Like, what do we want in our life? What do we want for our life in different aspects of life, right? Career, career and business, financial, fitness or health, right? Relationship, right? Spirituality, your passion or your hobby, right? These are some of the important things in our life. We need to have a very clear vision about how our life should look like. And then our goals to get to that vision needs to stay flexible.
Mm.
So for me, I have this vision for my health and fitness where, most people say after having kids, men will have that body and, that belly and all this kind of different
Yeah.
thing, right? I refuse to believe in that, right? And I told myself my vision for my health and fitness, it's I want to be as fit as David Beckham when I was 50 years old.
Mm.
That's the vision. Now, how do I get there? The goals can change, right? It can be triathlon, it can be going for full marathon, it can be just bodybuilding, it can be going for CrossFit. That's why I signed up for High Rocks right now, right? Because I find High Rocks more fun, less training
Mm.
time, but it gives me that sort of like strength, my health, and so on, that brings me to the vision. So goals can change, but the vision stays clear. So I think that's where reflection is very important. Then we can
Yeah.
readjust our goal to get towards the vision of what we want.
Yes. Okay. That, yeah. Okay. That's the understanding vision through reflection and understanding your goals and visions through reflection, the reflective
Yeah,
activities.
yeah,
Random, but like earlier you mentioned, like back then in your past self, like 8 years ago, you said that, reflecting was a waste of time. And then you mentioned that why should I look in the past? I've learned, I've understood. Now I'm just trying to focus in the future. I just want to know from that perspective, what is the difference between that kind of way of reflecting, not reflecting, or learning versus actually pausing and then reflecting how you do it now? What would be the key difference from your perspective?
I think for me personally, this might actually this might actually help the question, not a question, but the statement there on the chat by someone without a name who says that the
Yes.
triathlon experience speaks to me. People around me makes a big hairy deal when I reassess my options. When I adjust my goals, people judge that you're not consistent and so on and so forth, right? And I think my answer might help with that because I think what has really helped for me to do that reflected learning and reflection was I'm more flexible,
Mm, okay.
right? And what it means is now again, it's not just about flexible, it's also giving me a bit of that peace of mind that it is okay to change as long as the vision of what I want is still clear. As long as the vision stays the same. So again, I always take the same example. For health and fitness is one. For my business, for example, I've been coaching and training for the past 15 years. I started coaching at the age of 20 years old. I started my first coaching business at the age of 21. Now, for all of you, if you don't know, you guys might be seeing a lot of coaches, speakers, trainers out there these days that are relatively young. But when I started doing this 15 years ago, all the coaches, speakers, trainers out there are like 50-year-old.
Yeah.
And there's this 21-year-old guy who said that, oh, I'm going to go company, change the world, I'm going to change, I'm going to use coaching, I'm going to help people, and so on and so forth. And the thing is, no one in the corporate world gives a damn, right? But the thing is, I was very clear. The vision of what I want to do is to help people.
Mm,
It's to help people to change their belief. It's to help people to be more confident about themselves. It's to help people to really gain that empowerment to do things for themselves, right? And and what happened was I failed my first coaching business at the age of 23 years old. But the thing is, I was on newspaper, I was on BFM, I was quite out there. But the thing is, it's not making me money. At the age
mm,
of 21 to 23, it's not making me money. I don't have a consistent salary. Now, at the point of time, I could have continued trying to push through it, right? Like, okay, keep going, keep going, keep going. But I'm like, no, what's the point of a career? Let's take a step back and reflect. What's the point of a career? What's the point of a business? It is supposed to make life better. It is supposed to help me to make my life better. It is supposed to help me to build a life. But at this point, it is not. Why do I insist and harp on continuing the coaching business?
mm,
That's when I pivoted. I kind of became an in-house coach. I get like a fixed monthly retainer fees whatsoever to become an in-house coach and building my coaching business at the side, all these kind of things. Now, similarly to the person who talked about the triathlon, right? Some of my friends judge. They're like, hey, how come? How come you are the coach? Why are you going to work in the company? Why are you working in the corporate right now? And things like that. And I'm like, no, but I'm still doing coaching. My work still revolves around coaching, doing some form of training. I'm still helping people. Why does it matter if it's an employment, a full-time business, self-employed or freelance or whatsoever? Why does it matter? Right? So what happened was for me, that was really like the importance of how that reflection kind of helped me. Is that ability to be calm, to be at ease, to not force things or push yourself when things are just not right for you.
mm.
Because if you don't reflect and learn from our experiences, we will just keep on pushing. And
Yeah.
I personally don't think that's the healthiest for people to be at the peak of their performance or to be at the best version of themselves.
Yeah, it sounds to me like it's the ability to be able to quit when it's right, because sometimes people think that pushing yourself relentlessly,
Mm,
even though it's no longer serving you or if it's no longer, helping you, is something to still go for rather than actually pausing and knowing like when is the right time to quit this and know that, okay, this is no longer working out and we got to readjust, we got to be versatile, we got to be again flexible to
mm,
re-strategize our plan or re-strategize our strategy. And one thing that it sounds to me like, I guess with reflection, it feels like it's a bit more grounding, where and it instills confidence in you, so that when people around you are giving you a lot of noise or a lot of like criticism or questions or doubt, you feel grounded and confident in the decisions you make and in knowing who you
mm.
are and what you're going to do moving forward, right? And why you make those decisions.
Yeah,
And it's okay to explore in that way, so it's a lot of these things of being
that's a
compassionate with
brilliant summary.
yourself. Oh, okay.
That's a
Thanks.
brilliant summary. Yeah, that's really good. And the thing it's not easy, right?
Yeah.
Like there's noise around us, and especially these days, if you go, most people are on Instagram, TikTok, or whatsoever, right? And you see all these reels or whatsoever that talks about consistency. You have to be consistent. You have to show up every day. You know
Yeah.
that those kind of things. Now again, I'm not saying they're wrong, but context is important, right? Context is important, right? You have to be consistent. That's given, provided you are very clear about what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can be consistent at the wrong thing,
Yeah. Legit.
right? That's
Yeah.
also consistent, right? But it's not getting you where you want to go. So it's important. For me, I really believe in two things: clarity, confidence.
Mm.
When you have clarity, it brings confidence. And when you have confidence, not just in yourself, but also in the things that you're doing, it reinforces that clarity of what you want. And then you keep doing it, right? So that's kind of the two important thing that I feel that most people really need to focus on: getting that clarity and building that confidence.
Yeah.
And I usually do it in a few steps. And actually, I'm actually heading to my own retreat right now in Janda Bai for
Oh.
the next 2 days, where I bring a few of my coaching clients and we do this whole 2025 reflection, and then 2026 goal setting, visioning, and all these kind of different exercises and so on. And I go through three simple steps, right? Because I saw someone on the chat say don't know how to reflect and whatnot, right? So for me, there's three things, three R's, right? Reflect, reset, refocus, right? So reflect, I think it's quite straightforward, right? It's basically reflect and learn from the past. What actually happened? Look at the fact, not the story. It's like, oh, I let's just say, okay, this is an example, right? I was coaching a client who was retrenched, right? So for them, it's, oh, retrench means I'm gonna lose my job. Retrench means, I will not be able to pay for my family, etc., etc. Now the thing is, are those facts or are those stories?
Mm.
Because the fact is, he actually has savings. He's been working for 30 years.
Mm.
He has savings. But the thing is, what happened is the stories in his head, because of all this emotion and whatnot, is affecting him at this point of time. So he can't make decision. He don't know if he should go back to employment. But actually, deep down, his passion is he wants to start a coaching business. So all these things is happening. And this is the importance of reflection. Why? Because you reflect, you put it down on paper, you journal it, you write it down so that everything is down there. Now, why is this writing down important? Many people reflect just by thinking.
Yeah. We do.
But the thing is, what I learned is that when you are messed up, like all of us, when we are messed up, we are stressed, we are going through challenges and whatnot, it is happening here.
Yeah.
And if you try to reflect using here while you are going through challenges, it becomes a loop, which is what you say, right, Diana? The whole overthinking thing. You
Yes.
get into this whole negative spiral. You're like, oh crap, oh shit, Then you're like, F this, I don't want to think about it anymore, right? Let's
Yeah.
just go with the flow or whatsoever. So that's why it's important to write it down. Journaling is one of the best like tool to reflect. Basically, just write whatever that comes up in your head. Basically, what you're doing is you're transferring whatever's happening here into paper.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you look back at that paper, trust me, many of us will start laughing at it because you'll be like, did I just say this to myself? What the hell? Why am I thinking about this? It's like, what the hell? No, this is bullshit. Like, this is not even true. Like, and that's
Mm.
when you get a little bit clearer, right? So that's reflect. Now, number two then is reset. Now, what is
Mm.
reset, right? Now, in reset, you look at three things. Number one, belief. Number two, emotion. And number three, expectations. Belief, emotions, expectations, right? BEE, belief, emotion, expectations. Now, why do we look at this three things in reset? See, after looking at the past and look at all those experiences, looking at the facts, looking at what has happened and so on and so forth, you start asking yourself, what do I need to let go of? What belief is holding me back? What belief is holding me back from doing better in the past? What are some of the emotion that came up because of what has happened? Right now, again, for my client who got retrenched, they were emotionally challenged. Why? Because they are stressed, they get anxious, they do not know what to expect, they're figuring things out, they are like, what's my next step? And the thing is, for someone who's been working in a corporate for 30 years, being retrenched means shedding off an identity that they have for 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm an employed person, I work in XXX company. Now they're like, When I meet my friends, what do I say? When I meet, acquaintance, whatever, they're, hey, what are you up to now? What do I say? Do I say I'm unemployed? Do I say I'm self-employed? Like what do I really say? But the thing is, this is giving a lot of emotional baggage. So what we want to do is want to reset the belief, the emotion, and the third one is expectations.
Mm.
Right? When you look at what has happened in the past, were there some expectations that you need to let go of? Were you very hanged on to the past, to the failures, to the challenges of the past because of expectations that other people have for you or expectations that you have for yourself?
Mm.
So what do I need to let go of in terms of my beliefs that's not helping me, the emotions that came up, and then the expectations around me? And once you're able to kind of really write this down and learn from this, that's when we then go into refocus. Okay, I learned from the past. I know that all these beliefs and emotion expectations are holding me back. What do I want to do next? This is
Mm.
where the traditional sort of goal setting comes in. Okay, what's my goal next? What is my goal for the next 6 months? What is my goals for the next 12 months that will help me to become the best version of myself? What do I need to change? What do I need to start doing so that I can get towards the vision of what I want for my life? So that's where the refocus comes in with goals, right? With action steps and planning, etc., etc. So that's kind of like the way I kind of do it.
That's amazing. Reflect, reset, refocus, and it's very structured in like steps of like to conclude your past year, to and to use tools like journaling, which I totally resonate with. I agree that journaling, it's yeah, it's to prevent overthinking or to stop the spiraling. And part of it, I think, is also to really give that kind of impact of like when you read back things that you're thinking of that normally you wouldn't challenge in your mind or question in your mind, but when you read it back you're like, wait a minute, it gives that kind of like psychological distance, and also that
Yeah.
kind of clear point of view of being like, whoa, did I just really say that, did I really think that way, and give also an opportunity to reframe those thoughts, or to think about it again, or to sit with it again, rather than it being lost in your mind and it constantly being true or unchallenged or just floating, accordingly as it is, and take reign of your life, right? So that's for reflect would be
Mm.
great, to kind of sit back and to really see what has happened the past year, what were some challenges you faced, what were some pivotal moments. And I find that it's important also with reflect, right? Because sometimes we focus a lot of like on the things that you can work on or the things that you should improve on. We should also take some time to pause and think, focus on things that you did well on, and have a celebratory moment to say job well done, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, so I find that's actually quite helpful, right? And then the reset part, which is really going through, I guess, that whole list of things that you've listed down to kind of understand what are the beliefs that you carry that might actually hold you back, or and what are some of the emotional baggage, as you mentioned, right? That you've been carrying on. That do you want to carry in the future or in the next year or in the next decade, let's say, right? And what are some of the expectations that you have on yourself? So in some ways it's like, I feel like with reset especially, right, this is where
Mm.
it can be quite, I find it like can be quite challenging, because it requires for you to be quite honest with yourself, right? To be honest with your vulnerabilities and with like, what are some of the beliefs that I find actually not helpful, and am I able to kind of confront myself in such a honest and true way, because it's like looking in the mirror and calling it out, right? And it can be quite scary for some, or maybe can be quite diminishing of their self-worth or self-confidence. And this is where some people find it scary, because that's where they can go into an overthinking spiral, right? So it's kind of
Mm.
like, yeah, do you have any thoughts on that, like how that process can actually happen, for some?
I think this is where I think very often when we talk about reflection and whatnot, people think it is important to just do it by themselves.
Okay. Yeah. True.
And I think in recent years, one of my own learning as well. And again, I'm an introvert. I enjoy doing these things by myself. I usually end of the year, I just do my reflection by myself in the office room, in the cubicle, just doing all these kind of things. But in recent years, I realized, especially now with technology and AI and whatnot, I think doing it in a community with a group of people will help to kind of give that kind of support when
Yeah.
you're going through that kind of reset. Um, and the past years, I've really seen more and more importance of this because people are like, Cafe, when are you going to bring people together? How are you going to, can we do this together? And I'm like, interesting. I mean, I never thought about like this mastermind I'm doing right now, right? It is an idea that came out 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, well, people wants to do it. And I just open up like a registration form and I book a place and whoever wants to come, I only open to 10 people. I have like 5 people sign up in a week, right? And I was like, that means people are looking for it. So I think doing it as a community with people, I think that's where the power is. And I think
Mm.
our that's where the support we need. As much as most of us think that we are introverts or and whatnot, I think human beings are social creatures.
Yeah.
Like we need to work with people, we need to talk to people. You can write and journal all you want, but after journaling and you verbalize it with someone, it gives you a totally different emotion. It
Yeah.
helps you to let out, it helps you to let loose. And then from a psychological perspective as well, right? It's really letting out those thoughts and not allow it to be part of you to a certain extent,
Yeah.
right? So I think that will help in that reset. Working in the community, working with peers and groups of people and whatnot. And obviously, I mean, I'm not biased, but hiring a coach or a mentor or working with someone, I think that will kind of make that process a lot better as well. Someone creating and holding that space for you.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I totally resonate. I support what you said because it's true how we are social creatures, and like there are some thoughts or some beliefs that are quite sticky and quite really hard to challenge or on our own, especially, and sometimes even hard because we humans we also have blind spots, right? We might think that this belief has served us, even though they're rigid or unhelpful or maybe counterproductive, for example, but it has served me for this long, but I'm unable to see the cost of it. I'm unable to see how it's affecting me in some ways or impacting me in some ways or might be pulling me back. So these blind spots can actually, yes, come up through journaling, granted, if you have that kind of like internal practice of self-reflection and self-awareness, but also using your community and people around you to help you notice the blind spots that you
Mm,
might carry and the rigid beliefs that you might have, or even to just catch on these things or help you reframe these beliefs and actually hold space for you to question, are you sure you want to carry that moving forward? Is that helpful for you? Is that aligned with the kind of goals that you want to carry, you want to achieve in the next year or so, right? So yeah,
yeah,
and yeah, using professionals as well, like mentors and coaches and therapists who can actually hold the space for you and focus on your benefits and your growth and your values that you want to achieve, right? So yeah,
yeah.
thanks for helping to answer that because there
I,
was
I think
one.
I think I think yeah, I think hopping on this topic that we're talking about, I just saw the chat, right?
Yeah.
How do we avoid rewriting our narrative through shame instead of? How do we avoid rewriting our narrative through shame instead of growth? And I think this is a very good question, right? Because when we are reflecting, right, it's very easy for us to start blaming ourselves. It's very
Yeah.
easy for us to question, oh, why did I fail? Why did I set that goal in the first place? Why did I do that in the first place? Like why did I decide at the point of time, etc., etc. Right? I For me, there's a few ways to look at it, right? So number one, I always believe that every time we make a decision, it was the decision that was best available to us at that time.
Mm.
No
Yeah.
matter how much you feel in the, let's just say in a business, no matter if you go into a job that you don't like, no matter if you fail in a relationship or whatsoever, at the point of us making the decision, it was the best decision at the time based on what we know.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, 6 months later, after let's say the breakup, the quitting the job or whatsoever, right? The only reason why we now start to think it is not the best decision is because we have learned in the 6 months,
Yeah.
right? It's like, I shouldn't have done that. I should have done that. Now I can see more people. Actually, there's more like nicer people out there for relationship. That's just an asshole. Yeah. But it's important to kind of look at that lens and start really reflecting from the frame of what is this teaching me? Most of the time when we do reflection, right? Especially actually if you think about it in corporate, right? When they do all these projects or whatsoever, right? Oh, what went wrong with the project? What is wrong with that project? Or what did we not do well in that project, even though it's done or whatsoever, right? See, when you think about what went wrong, the mindset is looking for failures. The mindset is looking for what didn't go well, right? But instead, that's not what we want. Now, failure happens. Now, again, I'm not saying we should avoid failure. We should fail so that we can learn.
Yeah.
And this is where the frame needs to be different. So when you're rewriting and reflecting, instead of asking what went wrong, what did I do wrong, right? Ask yourself, what did I learn from this experience?
Yeah.
Oh, this project, oh, there's this like this deadline we didn't manage to meet. What did I learn from the situation? Oh, I broke up with with this person, right? What did I learn about relationship? What did I learn about myself in a relationship? Right? So that's the key. Changing from that victim sort of seeking mindset, what went wrong, what did I do wrong, versus the growth mindset of what am I learning from this? What is this situation teaching me?
Yeah, and to add on to that question, I want to ask you a bit more. What is the purpose of that switch? You know, like why is it more beneficial to come from that perspective of what did I learn from this versus oh what did I did wrong here? What's your take on that?
Actually, my perspective about this, when I was doing this or when I was teaching this as well in my classes and so on and so forth, one of the things that from my research as well, right? What I realized is the brain, by default, is conditioned to look for what's wrong. By default.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's survival.
Mm-mm.
We need to know what's wrong so that we can prevent it in the future. We need to know what went wrong. We need to know who's to blame, etc., so that we don't repeat it in the future.
Yeah.
But just because you figure out what went wrong doesn't mean you learn from it.
Mm. Yeah,
You
I
get where I'm
agree with
coming
that.
from?
I get where you're coming from.
And
But maybe
this
you
is
can elaborate.
and behavioral change happens when you learn from it.
Yeah.
Just purely I did something wrong, this is wrong, that is wrong, that is wrong, that is wrong, doesn't mean you actually learn from it
Yeah.
and made a conscious decision to change your behavior, to change your action, to change the way you approach things or whatsoever, so that you can move towards the future. So for me, that is the biggest difference. And I
Yeah.
think from I mean, you probably know this as well, right, Diana? You study psychology and whatnot. Our brain's focus and job is only for survival,
Yeah.
nothing else. Our brain is not helping us to grow. Our
Yeah.
brain's job is for survival. But the thing is, that's not helping us in real life because we are not like literally dying every seconds or like we're not living in the jungle anymore where there's lions or whatever coming to us at
Yeah.
any time, right?
Yeah.
It's different right now, so we need to learn from experiences instead of just reflecting about what went wrong.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the biggest key takeaway from that is that the difference when reflection comes from shame, it limits growth or it limits behavioral change, right? Changes in ourselves because we are like what you said. Just because you reflect doesn't mean it's productive because
Yeah,
it dampens your clarity or it dampens your confidence within yourself in terms of knowing what to do moving forward or whether believing that you can do something about it moving forward versus
yeah,
coming from a place of what did I learn from this, and I guess seeing ourselves that we are human beings, that we are also flawed creatures,
yeah,
and that um, you know focusing or hyper focusing on the negative doesn't necessarily isn't as actually productive. In fact, it
yeah,
dampens progress in that sense and motivate
yeah,
kills the motivation. So
yeah. And Diana, I just want to, because on the chat,
mm,
someone said, I think we need to identify our failure first, if any. Only then we can ask what we learn from it. Now, that's only half of the equation.
mm,
Let me ask everybody in the room, right? Let me ask everybody in the room. Can you learn from success? Can you learn from something that you have done damn well? Everybody, type it on the chat. What do you think? We could. It doesn't have to be a failure for us to learn from. We learn from successful people. We learn from things that we have done well. And then what did I learn from this doing so well? Oh, my strength is A. My weakness is B. I can't do this. I'm very good at that, right? So again,
Yeah.
that's also learning, right? So it's not just about failure. Now, again, I'm not here to say that you don't, I'm not into positive, toxic positivity where, oh, there's no failure, only learning or something. No, there's failure, right? But you need to learn from the failure, right? And we will go through failure every single time, right?
Yes.
So that's like I just wanted to highlight that because I think the mindset of most people is okay. I only learn from failure. No, you learn from strength. You learn from successes. You learn
Yeah.
from things that's being done very well.
Yes, agree. And in fact, I found that you can learn so much from success because then you want to learn what were the conditions or the criteria that you want to replicate so that you can replicate the
Mm,
success, right? Similarly, the
mm,
approach with
mm,
failure, right? Or what are things I want to avoid doing or I don't want to continue doing because that is kind of contributing to the failure, for example, right? So similarly, I
mm,
find that the blueprint for success can help you to really think about, oh, what did I do well and what can I continue doing that will ensure success for me. So taking a moment to
yep.
look at the questions now. There are three questions. Okay, shall we answer them? Let's answer this one. So the question is, how can we celebrate our wins this year while preparing for new challenges?
Love that question. Love that question. How can we celebrate our wins this year? Well, ask yourself, what did you do well this year?
Yeah.
Right? Like really, before you reflect, before you go into setting goals for 2026 and whatnot, right? Just start with, okay, what is my big win this year? What did I
Mm.
do really well? What am I really proud of myself this year?
Okay. I'm
Right?
noting that
All
down,
those kind of
even
yeah,
myself.
right. What am I really proud of myself this year? What is something uncomfortable
Mm.
that I push myself this year to do? Right? Really celebrate not just achievements, the tangible achievements. I think people always talk about, oh, I've completed this project, I got my promotion, I got an increment, da 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 da. Da. Now those are great, but the same thing is, what do you learn from those things?
Mm.
Right? Well, I pushed myself out of comfort zone. I started taking up more projects. It's a win for me because I don't like dealing with people. I started doing more presentation at work. That helped me to boost my confidence, my presentation skills. I hated doing it, but I did it this year. That's a win,
Yeah, a
right?
really great win.
I started a side hustle. Now, some people is like, yeah, but my side hustle is not making a lot of money. That's not the point. I started a side hustle. That's the point. That is a win, right?
Yeah.
That is a win, right? So don't diminish yourself. Very often I see when I ask people to talk about, how great their year has been, what are their wins, what are their big things for the year and so on. They will say, oh, Cafe, I started my coaching business. But it's not as great as your coaching business. But that's not the point of the question.
Yeah.
It's what's great for you, right? So if you started a coaching business, then tell yourself, I've started a coaching business and I'm proud of it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And that really reinforces that sort of like, strength and belief in yourself. And then you learn from it. Okay, I started a side hustle. Now it's not profitable. Yes.
Mm.
What did I learn from this? Okay, I need to market it better. I need to work with partners. Okay, that is my 2026 plan or 2026 goals. Partner with people for this side hustle so that I can start making, I don't know, 2K a month or 3K a month, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You see how just a simple reflection gets you towards the next goal because it gives
Yeah.
you clarity.
Exactly. And grounds you with the direction with moving forward. I love that. Thank you
Yeah.
for. On top of this, if you don't mind me adding on to that, I would say like ways to celebrate is to do things that you like. What are some things that you find that is enjoyable for yourself that maybe you limit yourself from doing? Like it can be going on a trip, or it can be bringing yourself out for a movie, or taking a moment to. I feel like journaling also is a great way to commemorate or celebrate your win, or to just share it with
Mm.
your loved ones, with your friends or your family, to be like, hey, I achieved this year. And actually, there's a trend right now on TikTok. I don't know if you know about this, but where
Oh.
people buy a cake, like a brownie cake or something, and then they would put sticks on the cake to write their achievements, right? Of things that they're proud of.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so they come out with a group of friends and be like, okay, I survived this year, or I finished
Yeah.
this exam, or I got this promotion, or I brought
I
myself
finally
to the
decided to break up, things like
yes,
that,
things like that.
right?
Yeah, so you can use that trend. There are so many ways to be creative about celebrating it, and I think it's such a beautiful thing to see that this is also now being, I guess, trendy. Because yeah, life is celebrate your wins, celebrate achievements, and celebrate the effort that you've put in on yourself. So those are some of the
It's a
ways
good
that
one. Maybe I should get a cake during Christmas with my friends and do that.
yeah, and have it to put it like yeah as a really fun way to celebrate your wins, right? There's another
Yeah.
question here. It says in a failed relationship where the breakup is because of constant cheating from the opposite. I can't think of what I did. What did I learn from this? Can you help? What's your point of view? Ooh,
Interesting. Relationship. Not the easiest topic to navigate, but one of you know, yeah, I've worked with a lot of clients in relationship challenges and getting out of a abusive relationship, getting out of a divorce. How do they rebuild themselves? And the thing is, when this happened, Lohini, I can understand where you're coming from, right? Because you'll be like, yeah, it's the other person's fault. It's not me. And now I'm a victim of this whole situation and whatnot. Now it is
yeah,
true, right? There's no way to go around it, and it's heartbreaking and it's challenging for you, right? But when we reflect upon it, we need to look at ourselves. Hey, what has happened in the relationship?
mm,
Like, what did I learn about myself from the relationship? Was I too trusting, or was I too head over heels that I was blindsided by some of the red flags, and so on and so forth, right? So it's a lot of things to learn from, and also maybe for me, the thing about relationship is what do you learn about your own belief about relationship. Now, why did I say believe? Because I've worked with a lot of clients on relationship, and one of the things that happen for clients who go through breakups, divorce, and whatnot is that what they learn is that, oh, I cannot trust men, I cannot trust this person, I will not get into a relationship, and things like that, right? But are those beliefs serving you?
mm,
Are those beliefs something that is helping you? Then you start to realize, actually, no, like, yeah, this is just a bad relationship. It is not all relationships are bad, right? So I think more
mm,
importantly, it's for you to sit down and ask yourself, what do you learn, or what are the beliefs that come up from this failed relationship? Because I
yeah,
think that will have more longer term impact on you in the future than just learning from the relationship. I think yeah, for me, that's the very important thing about relationship.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's how I would probably work with my clients, to work from that angle first, right? And then figure out, okay, what else did I learn? What kind of
yeah,
people do I need to look for? What kind of men do I actually want in the next relationship?
yeah.
Now,
So
those are
that's
the things that you learn.
yeah, that's the process of reflecting, right? Someone actually commented the cheating party is always at fault, and I've said when there's a problem in a relationship, the parties are supposed to talk about it like adults, not betray their partner's trust, which is very truthful, which is very true, right? And it's something that we wanna, I guess, um, hold a certain standard of to want communication. But when I read this question, I see a sense of kind of trying to make meaning out of something that is quite challenging or traumatic. Like, I can't think of what I learned from this. What's a perspective that I can take, right? And uh, sometimes the perspective is that it was that you were betrayed and you were hurt. And that is the
Yep.
truth in itself, right? And that's absolutely fine to that it doesn't go beyond than that to find a higher meaning of trying to find clarity or so forth. Sometimes the perspective or the purpose is to hold that space for yourself emotionally to be able to
Mm,
acknowledge the hurt and the betrayal that you went through. And I agree with what Coach Carfey said that sometimes in situations like this, it's really important to kind of take a step back and notice what are some of the beliefs or that you've learned from this experience, because some of those beliefs can be quite like what has mentioned, which is that it's a bad, all relationships are bad, versus that this was a bad relationship, right? Where actually, even in circumstances like this, learning can still occur, which is telling yourself or asking yourself, what kind of relationship do I want moving forward? Definitely not a person who betrays my trust, goes behind my back, and is unfaithful, for example. So those are kind of beliefs, those are kind of the reflections or the kind of learnings you can gain from those kind of experiences, even in really, really negative ones, right? That can feel like it's pointless or that it's the other person's fault and so forth, right? But so that's my 2 cents on that, lah. Okay.
Yep,
But
yep, true. That's very true. I think, I
yeah,
think, I think if you're going through, breakups and whatnot, I think it's important to give ourselves space for that grief.
yes, exactly.
We have to go through it. We have to go through it, right?
Yeah. And I feel like that's also still relevant to our year, right? Our reflect to reset, right? Ending the year with purpose, which is that for some, right, the year could have been really quite difficult, right? And with that, also part of the process of reflecting and resetting is to kind of hold space for the grief that might come up, right? Or the sadness or the disappointment. But remember to, with all that has been shared today, which is to do it in a way that is helpful for you and not to be, remember, stuck in that process of um, spiraling or overthinking or stuck in shame or blaming yourself, right? So, yes, thank you so
Yep.
much, everyone, for all the wonderful questions, and as well as Coach Carfe for your wonderful insights and your sharings and
Thank you for
your
having me.
no
And
problem.
just one quick thing,
Yeah,
Diana, I think I actually have a handout and a document
right.
where I actually share with some of my clients, some of my friends on how to reframe or how to change their limiting belief. Because we
Mm,
do, everybody have limiting beliefs, things that's holding us back
yeah,
from becoming the best version of ourselves.
yeah,
It's a handout that you can read through, kind of practice a little bit here and there to kind of like take sort of like understand your belief and try to work around it to kind of reframe it and see it from a different perspective. Now, obviously, I can't help you to just do the whole transformation of your belief just by you reading a document. If that works, then I wouldn't have a job, right? But this is a good start of self-awareness,
yeah,
really putting down and getting clarity about your limiting belief, the things that's holding you back, challenging you, and whatnot, and
yeah,
start trying to think differently so that it helps you with maybe even thinking for 2026. What do you want next? What is the goal that you want to achieve for 2026 and whatnot? So download it, use it, or whatsoever. If you have any questions and whatnot, you guys can come and find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, or any social media. I'm quite active on LinkedIn and Instagram. Come and find me, ask me questions if you have, and so on and so forth. Happy to help wherever possible.
yeah. Thank you for sharing the resource and giving a great explanation for it. With that as well, so you guys know how to reach out Carfe, just to share a bit of resources for Naluri as well, that we also have free 24/7 Naluri text line. So in any case you are in a crisis or you need immediate or urgent support, you can reach out to this WhatsApp number. It's private and it's confidential, and it's also meant by professional mental health professionals. So, sorry, certified mental health professionals, right? So they are available around the clock 24/7. Besides that, we also have, if you want to have a consultation, similarly, like to have a consult with Coach Carfi regarding setting your goals or reflecting or feeling stuck here and there when it comes to being stuck in limiting beliefs, you can scan to book with us to have one-to-one Naluri consultations. So either with myself or other coaches or mental health professionals that we have on hand. As well as we have a free emotional well-being assessment. So this is a great way to start if you kind of don't know where you are or how you've been. You can scan this QR to see how you're currently doing. It's about 3 minutes. Again, it's 100% anonymous and it's free for everyone to just check in on how your current emotional well-being is, especially at the end of the year, to see how has that been, right? And we also have another app and web. So if you want to download and chat with our coaches, you can definitely scan the QR code here to either download the app or visit our website. So we have a bunch of things on the app, not just to chat with our coaches, who are real people, by the way, not AI. But also we have self-learning bite-sized modules about health, overall mental and physical, and even like similarly with leadership and so forth. We also have assessments to kind of grade and see how you're currently doing, and also trackers to track how your progress when it comes to health has been for physical and mental. And you can follow us on our social media. This is our Facebook and our Instagram. And yes, that will be kind of the end for today. We have links being uploaded right now if you want to take a look. Otherwise, feel free to share your feedback for our webinar for today. We welcome all types of feedback. That's really helpful. But yes, other than that, thank you so much, everyone. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so much.
Coach for
Thank you
your
for having
great.
me, and thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And hope you guys have a good break for Christmas, New Year, and have a good year ahead.
Thank you. Hope you have a good year as well. Happy holidays, everyone.
Bye
Bye.
bye.